How's it going, YouTube? Coming to today with another video, and today, guys, so the video is going to be the meta tier list, and I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. Definitely go ahead and check out my sponsors down below in the description. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I really want to go over what the format looks like right now and what it could be looking like with the brand new decks that are coming out. Hack of Hands, Enacraft, Cool Tune, definitely very interesting decks, but our format is very aggressive right now, and the decks that are very good are very, very good. So I'll explain my opinion and what I think could happen with the brand new decks, and exactly what we could be seeing moving forward with a potential ban list. So starting off today with the current best decks in the game right now, we have Dracotail and Yummy Mitsu. Now, Yummy Mitsu broken down into Yummy Mitsu, and then also Yummy Mitsu has the best percentage in the game right now. But if we're talking about a soul deck percentage, Dracotail has the best win percentage in the room right now. And I think that that's just attributed to the fact that they don't care about Droll. It's hard to stop. They can play on both turns. The deck has a lot of flex options. The deck also has Sting now, which is crazy. Flame and Horn, which people are playing double Cyclone for now because it dodges the Flame and can trade with one of the other two. But that just goes to say that the deck itself is still performing very, very well. You can put up a lock with Sanctifier. You can give your opponent the Link 1 Blue Eyes, which is pretty crazy. The deck has so many hand traps and things that it can do and recyclability. So the deck is definitely very scary and one of the most prominent in the room. Now for Yummy Mitsurugi, deck is very strong. The deck can bridge into each other. The deck has a lot of room for hand traps. The deck can play a lot of flex options. Yes, you have a rough time with Droll, but at the same point, people are starting to move Droll to their sideboard because Dracotail's a little bit more popular, so they're having a little bit better of a time, especially in Game 1. I think this deck is still absolutely phenomenal, and if you're looking for a current best deck, you could pick either of the two, and you really couldn't go wrong. I think both of these are fantastic decks. But what about our Tier 1 options? So we do have a few here. Now, Mitsurugi and Yummy separately are both fantastic options still. I would probably pick Mitsurugi if I was picking either of them, just because you can play Impulse. Impulse is still an absolutely broken card, still very, very strong, and something that I heavily would like to play in my list if I'm going to any event, right? So definitely going to be the choice for me, but I think either of these are a fantastic option. You do have to understand these decks a little better if you're going to be playing them pure, because I feel like playing them together is just easy street. You can get a lot of wins, the deck kind of carries you a little harder, but if you're going to be playing either of these alone, you have a lot of options for really honing in on certain strategies and playing even more flex options versus matchups that you might not be so attuned to, because some of them could be a little bit harder, but if you actually have your sideboard a little bit more teched out for it, you could be having a little bit better of a time. VSK9, deck still very strong, still topping and winning events. This is a deck that's absolutely phenomenal, and as a tier 1 contender, it's something that you still have to be mindful of. It could be in the room, you could run into it. Still a very strong deck, even with all the hits. It still doesn't matter. The deck's still performing, which is crazy, but it's still a very strong deck at the moment and something that you want to respect. Now, my dark horse in the format is Malice. I love Malice. I think Malice is fantastic. This deck, if you're playing multiple Visceals, you're playing Impulse, you're playing Lure, that's just the way that you're going to want to go about it with this deck. I think that you have so many flex options, and you have so many ways that you can attack a board. You can go first, you can go second. You don't get hit by Droll, you're playing Shifter, you can play D-Ground post side. Like, there's so many upsides right now to playing Malice, and I feel like this deck is so very good. And, you know, even playing things like Super Poly, pitching a name, and then bestialing out the name after you clear a board, there's a lot of different options that you have to be able to do with this deck. And I think that this is something that, even at the remote YCS this weekend, is going to be a huge contender. Tier 2 will always be the tier of, if you know any of these decks extremely well, you are the scariest player in the room, because these are not so accounted for. And if your opponent doesn't have accurate testing against them, you can just steal wins all day. It doesn't matter. Like, you just know how to outplay things. You know exactly what kind of options you have to you. And if people don't know those options, they're going to be in for a very rough time. Now, K9 Crystron, if you open Jokul and Sulfador, you're having a crazy field day with this deck, right? And Jokul being like the quiet best K9 card, I can't believe that card's still at 3. The card's absolutely absurd and gives this deck a lot of playability still. Spell Canceller is the card that's definitely still trying to carry this deck, and it still has a lot of options for it as well. Memento, if you play against a good Memento player that really knows what they're doing, you are going to have an awful time, because they will just beat you 2-0 in 10 minutes. So this is a deck that, especially with the K9 cards, you really want to have a good understanding of what this deck does and how it can affect the game state, because it might not look like the biggest board when they pass, but I promise you it has layers, right? And that's something that you really want to make sure that you are testing against and having a good idea of what it can do. Striker and Fire King, these get tops, these have poor results, these have great results. It really depends on the pilot. If you're playing against a great pilot, they are going to have a field day with that event. If they're a bad pilot, they're going to go 0-5, right? So it really depends on who you play against when they have these decks available to them. So definitely some decks that you could see in the room, especially toward rounds like 4, 5, and 6. The better players will keep going, the worse will drop. But these are decks that you can still see moving past round 5 or 6. And then you have Gem Knight, Mermail, and Branded. These are all less popular in my opinion and not as good, but they're still up here in tier 2 because, again, solid understanding equals a long tournament run and something that you could run into in a late round, and if you don't understand what they do, you're going to lose. Now here goes for the classic saying, if you win round 2, you won't see these after anyway. And that's going to be Blue Eyes, Lunalight, and RB. Now, the one that I will give a little bit more respect to right now is RB. I think that deck is actually really good, and that's something that could be up in tier 2. I think that it's been performing enough to where you could put it up in that category as well and see it be a contender. And it's something that deck in particular, if you don't know what RB does, you will immediately lose. And that's something that you really have to be paying attention to. Lunalight and Blue Eyes, these have fallen off the face of the earth in my opinion. I think that they can still perform, but these decks aren't nearly as impressive to me as other decks above them, and I think that they struggle a lot. And the last thing that I want to talk about here is going to be won't be impactful without a ban list, and unfortunately that is just going to be the brand new decks. I really don't think that they are going to be doing a whole lot without a ban list. Enacraft is cards that you're trying to put face down and activate them. Sure. We have Hecka Hands, which is probably the only one of the 3 that actually has potential. And I think it's going to be like the Runic Hecka Hand. I think that this deck definitely has a lot of room to be in tier 2 at least. I think that deck could break this category and auto be tier 2. I think that it has a lot of potential. But Cool Tune and Enacraft, it's not doing anything without a ban list and more support. And yeah, we'll probably see somebody top with them and it'll be like super cool, but it's just because like people are trying out the new thing, right? But in the long run, if we're looking at the actual playability of these decks, they're not very good. And I think that I would play anything above them before I played them. And I think the only one that has potential right now is Hecka Hand. Like, right out of the box, I think that's the only one that's going to be really good. But by the numbers, this is what the format looks like right now. And I do hope that you enjoyed today's video. Definitely let me know what you think down below in the comment section. I'll catch you on the next video. Thank you.